you know that comprehensions, one comprehension will come in your exam. That may be factual, that may be literary, or that may be descriptive. So you have to practice comprehension on a regular basis. So you have to maintain the balance of time management as well as your perception while dealing with a comprehension. আজি আমাৰ সেশনত আমি ফ্যাকচুয়াল কম্প্ৰিহেনশন এটা ডিসকাস কৰিম য'ত আমি কিছুমান কোয়েশ্চন সর্ট আউট কৰিছো অন দ্য বেসিস অফ দি কম্প্ৰিহেনশন and that will help you related to your exam, your CUET undergraduate exam. Now one more thing I just want to add in this session is that students tend to make mistake while reading or going through a passage. What they do, they find shortcuts. Yes, amak shortcuts lage. We need shortcuts. Even here we are providing crash course. That means it is a shortcut within a stipulated time. We prepare you for the exam. But that doesn't mean that where you are getting a comprehension and you will find shortcuts there. Shortcuts are really dangerous. It can turn fatal if you do some kind of silly mistakes while answering the questions of a comprehension. Now, enekwa hoy comprehension eta digholia hoy. তোমালোকে হয়তো ভয় খাই যাব পাৰা যে ইমান দীঘল comprehension কোনে পঢ়িব. You evade the situation. তোমালোকে সেই comprehension to নপঢ়াকে directly you go to the questions below and try to answer or try to find out the answer. So at that moment, a lot of mistakes is committed by the students because they make a general assumption of the answer of the question. But one more thing I just want to add, that when there is a comprehension and you have a question related to the comprehension, you can't apply your own knowledge there. You have to stick to the comprehension. You must you must have to follow the answers which are provided in the comprehension. No added information is required here while answering the questions of a comprehension. ইয়াতে বুজি পাইছা তোমালোকে যে তোমালোকে নিজৰ জ্ঞান ইয়াতে আমি এড কৰিব নালাগে. কম্প্ৰিহেনশনত যিখিনি বস্তু, যিখিনি জ্ঞান, যিখিনি ইনফৰমেশ্যন দিয়া আছে সেইখিনিৰ লগত ৰিলেটেড আমি কুৱেশ্যনৰ আনসাৰ্সবোৰ কৰিম. Okay, let's start this session. One more thing I just want to add, that because it is a comprehension, don't get scared that the session will be longer or comprehension is a longer one. Let's skip the session or let's skip the class for today. Don't do that, because I insist that whenever there is a comprehension, you have to answer, or you should try at least answering the questions, because it will prepare your brain to handle or to tackle the situation in your CBT exam, in your actual exam day. Yes, let's move on. So comprehension, that is 1.1 factual. And now this is the comprehension. It seems to be longer, but don't get scared. You have to go through the comprehension. And because comprehension is there, our team have highlighted some of the words which are a bit different from the general or mainstream usage. And so we have highlighted the words so that you can just relate the words with the meanings, and you just try to find out what actually the word is trying to make us understand. Now one more thing I just want to add, that I'm adding one after another the important things, but you have to go through, you have to follow someone in order to answer the questions. So whenever there is a comprehension, one more thing I just want to add, that in the screen, in your CBT exam, in the screen the comprehension comes in the first sheet, and the questions will be given after the successive sheets. So whenever you are answering the question, you have to relate back to the comprehension. So there also time management is important, because you have to move to and fro, up and down, passage once, again the question, then the passage. So you have to manage that time. For that you have to practice a lot. On a regular basis, on a week basis you can do that, on a weekly basis you have to try at least 5 comprehensions. That will sort out your time management thing, and it will also help you to try to understand what the difficult words are there, what are the meaning of those words, is the question based on synonym or antonym or adjective form. So words will be there, because we have discussed earlier that phrases and idioms, then you will get one word substitution, synonym and antonym. So these are the things which will be actually helpful now while dealing a comprehension. Yes, let's read the comprehension now. During the Christian era, the ecclesiastics controlled the institution of education and diffused among the people the gospel. Now, one more thing, while reading the comprehension, try to understand what the passage is trying to make you feel, or to what the passage is actually trying to tell you. So at the same time you have to read and you also have to understand the passage. Time is very short here. So ecclesiastics is something which is related with, because I have highlighted already, the meaning, anything which is related with the church. Then we have the gospel, among the people the gospel of Bible and religious teachings. Now gospel means some kind of religious teachings, okay? The meaning is here already. It taught the poor to be meek and to earn his bread with the sweat of his brow. Now see, meek means to be mild enough or to be weak, okay? Weak, and like you are bow down to some kind of topper or to some kind of superior power. So here the passage is trying to tell that the common people should behave meek and should be hardworking, really hardworking. Why? Hardworking, we get the meaning from here, sweat of his brow. So sweat of his brow means he have to work hard to earn his living, to satisfy or to suffice his basic needs. Then we have, while the priest and the landlords lived in the luxury and fought duel for the slightest offense. And while the priest and the landlords, what they did, the common people led their daily life with their hard working, and the lords and the priest, what they did, whenever they have the slightest pretext in very minor issues, they used to have some kind of duel. They used to have fights. Now duel means fight. For the slightest offense. During the Renaissance, education passed more from the clutches of the priest into the hands of the prince. Now Renaissance, in that era, in the era of Renaissance, what happened? The education system went from the clutches means from the grip of the priest into the hands of the prince. Now prince, before it was the church, the ecclesiastics, and now it is the prince, okay? It became more secular. Secular means open up to all religions. Under the control of the monarch. Now prince can be related with the idea of monarch or monarchy. Education began to devise and preach the infallibility of its masters. Now one more word we are getting here, that is infallibility. Infallibility means one who has gone above from making mistakes, one who is not prone or who is not vulnerable to make mistakes. He may be God, or here it is, the concept is that the monarch is someone who can never commit a mistake. Yes, infallibility of its masters. Masters means the monarch himself. The monarch or the king. It also invented and supported fantastic theories like the divine right theory. Now what is the divine right theory? We are simultaneously trying to read and actually to understand what the passage wants to tell us. Divine right theory means divine, whenever you get the word divine, you just relate the word with something related to God. So divine right theory actually is trying to tell that God has given the power to the monarch to rule the subordinates or the common people. Now he has taken the assumption that he is the divine power, or he has been given the divine power by God to rule upon the common people. Yes. The king can do no wrong, and because he is divine, he is infallible. But we people are fallible. That means we commit mistakes. Mane manhu matre bhul. Amar bhul hoboy. Amar bhul hua to ke ami ki kom? We are fallible. And here what it is given? Infallible. So remember, fallible and infallible. Try to make the difference between both the words. So next came with the advent of Industrial Revolution. Now one more word which should have been highlighted is advent. Advent means the beginning. Whenever there is a starting point or whenever there is a beginning point, we say that it is the advent of something, okay? Starting. Advent of the Industrial Revolution. Now the era came when the factories and the factory products were generally, the people had a preference towards factory products. That was the time during Industrial Revolution where education took a different turn and had to please the new masters. I hope that you can see you can go through the comprehension even if I am standing here. So then different turn and had to please the new masters. Now who are the new masters now? In the Industrial Revolution, the new masters, it now no longer remained the privilege of the baron class. Baron means the king class or the king's class or the aristocracy, but was thrown open to the rich merchant class of the society. Now because it is the Industrial Revolution, it is related to the rich merchant class or the businessmen, the people who are into business or who are the owners of the industries and factories during that era. The philosophy which was in vogue during this period was that of laissez-faire. Vogue means which is in fashion, and laissez-faire means the system, the principle where a few people used to take hold of the entire administration of a place or a region. Restricting the function of the state to a mere keeping of laws and order, while on the other hand, in practice, the law of the jungle prevailed in the form of free competition and survival of the fittest. Now, when there was Industrial Revolution, it was the merchants. Then came the laissez-faire, and once laissez-faire was there, the system, the principle, the law was there only for namesake. There were no regulations to formulate or execute the laws, and at that time the practice was law of the jungle. Law of the jungle means everything was in chaos, and it also propounds that there was survival of the fittest. That is the theory given by Charles Darwin, that there was an urge among the people to show their potentiality and then survive. If you are not up to the mark, you are out of the competition. So that was the theme during the period of laissez-faire. Now we have gone through the passage, and we have tried to understand actually the meaning, what the passage is trying to tell us. So later on you can go through the passage in your leisure time or when you are practicing. But now for the session, we will go to the part that is the questions. Okay, we will relate here the questions to the passage. Hope everything is clear here. Once we provide the questions, you will know actually how to answer the questions and how to find the answer in the passage. No other information should be added. Remember that. So here is the first question. What does the theory divine right of king stipulates? Stipulates mean what does the theory actually explains. Okay. So the divine right, I have already said that divine is something which is related to God, and that was the time when the monarch, actually when we relate back to the passage, divine is something, where is divine? Okay, divine is something which is related to the king. Yes. So here we will again try to answer the question. What does the theory actually explains? That the kings are God. Yes. Are the kings God? It is not trying to define that. Divine right is giving the power to the kings, that you are the person selected by God to rule over the common people. Yes. So that is not, number A is actually here not matching with the passage. That the right of governing is conferred upon the kings of God. Kings of God, that also doesn't match. Whenever you are reading the options, you should go through the options, each of the options minutely. They have the right to be worshipped like gods by their subjects. Now worshipped, this is also not mentioned in the passage, because here only the divine right has been added. No more extra information, so worship, you can't add that. Number D, that the right of kings is divine and therefore sacred. Here we can go with the fourth option, because divine is something related to God, and when it is God, it is always sacred. Yes. So the other three options doesn't match with the passage, and so we will go with the fourth or the D option. Here, I hope everything is clear here. We will move on to the next question. Who controlled education during the Renaissance? Now during the Renaissance, who controlled? So again we have to go back to the passage. Now this is the system where you have to move to and fro while answering the questions. Here you can't evade the thing. Now Renaissance, we have to relate Renaissance. Education passed more from the clutches of the priest into hands of the prince. So we get that the prince or the king or the baron had the ownership of education. So we will go to the options. The common people, it is the wrong answer. It can't be. The prince, yes, to some extent. Still, if we are getting the answer in the second option, still we have to go through the other options so that there is no other vulnerability of making a mistake. The prince, the church and the priest, none of the above. So we know that in Renaissance the power was moved towards the hands of the prince. So B is the right answer. Next, moving to the third question, what did the ruling class in the Christian era think about the poor man? Now we have understood from the first sentence itself that the poor man was supposed to be the meek person who has to earn his daily bread with his toil or with his hard work. So that he is the beloved of God, we can't relate this. It was not taken as granted. This is not. That he deserves all sympathy of the rich. Sympathy, here sympathy is not added in the passage. That he should be strong and control others. Strong is totally opposite, because meek is given here in the passage. So the three options are not the correct answer. That he is meant for serving the rich. Yes. Now D option, though it is not clear, though it is not clarifying directly to the comprehension, we can just relate because there are no other option. One more thing I will add here again is that there will be options like none of these. There may be an extra option, I am just adding here, like none of these. So this option, whenever you get the option none of these, again it is very crucial. Crucial in the sense that it is very critical. When this option is there, you have to think from a negative point, even the positive point. You have to think from the affirmative version and as well as the negative version. So it really makes you confused in that situation, in that scenario, that what may be the question or what may be the answer. So you have to read the comprehension. For that, in order to evade that kind of mistakes, what you have to do? You have to go through the comprehension. No other way, no other shortcuts. So number 3 is clear, I hope so. Number 4, who controlled the institution of education during the Christian era? In Christian era, who was in power of education? The ecclesiastics. So that is the secular leaders of the country, of the society? No. The church and the priest? Yes. And the monarchs and the common man? No. So here we can directly go to the answer, that is the church and the priest. Next we have the 5th question. What does the word fallibility mean? Now here, while explaining, I have said that we people are prone to mistakes and that means we are fallible. But in the passage, the word infallible is given, remember that. So when it is infallible, don't make the mistake that here the question is fallible and in the passage it is infallible. So both are opposites. So while answering the question, you have to be very specific that every person is open to error. Yes. Even if we are not going to the other option, the first answer, the first option is going with the question, but still we will go with, we will go through the other options. Number B is sensitivity, no. Number C, the virtue of not having a mistake. The virtue of not making a mistake is actually infallible, yes, in the comprehension. And number D, that some divine power is responsible for determining the fate of the man. Now fate, destiny doesn't come here because it is not added in the comprehension. So we will go with the first option, that is every man is open to error, even you and me, yes. Moving on to the 6th question. What do you mean by sweat of his brow? It is actually the hard work or the common people working hard to meet up his daily needs. So that is very hard work. Number B, the tiny droplets of sweat on the forehead, the wrinkles visible on the forehead, the sign of innocence. Sign of innocence is not going. Very hard work, yes. The tiny droplets of his sweat, yes. But here actually the sweat of his brow is having a figurative meaning. Though it has a literal meaning, but here we will go with the first option because it is trying to tell us something more than the literal meaning, and that is very hard work. So the tiny droplets of sweat on the forehead is the literal meaning and very hard work is the figurative meaning. And here because it is given within quotation, we will understand that this is some kind of a proverb or it is some kind of phrase or idiom. So whenever the question is coming within inverted commas, so we will try to relate with the figurative meaning, yes. Next we move on to the 7th question. What does the policy of laissez-faire mean? Now laissez-faire, I have said already that the principle, actually you have gone through this term in your class 8 social studies book, where socialism, capitalism, laissez-faire was included in the syllabus. So you know there that laissez-faire is actually a principle of governing the people on the basis of administration, where the entire administration is taken hold by a group of people and who are actually the businessmen, who belongs to the business category of people. So individual freedom in the economic field, here now laissez-faire, one more thing, that it has a negative impact on the people, on the common people. It didn't work for, it was a form of capitalism, it didn't work for the good of the people, and actually it was trying to take or reap every benefits from the common people, reap everything from the common people. So it is not related with the betterment, individual freedom, something like that. State control over law and order in the society, yes, to some extent. Number C, joint control of the means of production by the state and the private enterprise. This is also to some extent, yes, but because it is not given in the passage that it was something owned by the state and the private enterprise, so we will not go with this, okay. Number D, decontrol over law and order by the ruling class. Yes, to some extent, because they were controlling the people, but actually the common people were not getting any kind of benefits from this system. But this is also not clarifying, or it is not being specified in the passage. So, whenever the options are a bit confusing, we will go with the option which is actually matching with the passage. So, we will go with the first option, that is with the second option, that is state control over law and order in the society. Yes? Till here it's clear everything, I hope so. We will move on to the next question. Number 8. Now here came the synonym antonym concept. Find the synonym of gospel. Synonym means homortok hobdo, same meaning, okay. So whenever the same meaning, gospel, I have already said that it is some kind of religious teaching. So chit-chat, no. Rumor, no. Guidance, yes, to some extent, because religious teaching are always, they are always incorporating some kind of guidance or advice. But because here the synonym is asked, so we have to be very specific and we have to go that teachings of a religious teacher. Okay, so that is the exact meaning of gospel here, because it is not guidance, no, not rumor. Chit-chat will not even go with this. So, teaching of a religious teacher. Number 9, find the antonym. Again synonym, antonym. Antonym means, yata ki koise biporit hobdo, the opposite word of luxury. Now, luxury means some kind of lavishness or some kind of extra benefits in form of accommodation, which we actually avail when we have some kind of extra capital or extra income which we spend in our luxury items or luxury facilities. So, something which is related to the opposite here we have to find. Richness can't be, because it is going with luxury, it is one of the connotations of luxury. Poverty, poverty we can't say, because luxury is something related with poverty, is an all-round scenario where it is a state of being poor. Lavish is also same, richness and lavishness is actually luxury. Poverty is a state of condition. Here we can relate that because all the options are a bit confusing, so we will go with the fourth option, because luxury, the antonym, is actually not even poverty and not even poor. But still we have to opt for one of the answer. When it is confusing, try to relate to the simple meaning whenever it is antonym, in case of synonym and antonym. So we will go with the fourth option, that is poor. Next we have the last question of the comprehension. Now see, whenever there is a comprehension, you have to go through the comprehension, because a set of 10 questions at the max will come in your exam and you can't evade that. 10 questions is really important, and getting it all correct is more important than that. So you have to be thorough with the passage and you have to practice a lot before going to the actual exam. You have to practice a lot. I am telling you, I am insisting you that you should at least practice any kind of 5 comprehensions on a daily basis, okay, on a weekly basis, sorry. Number 10th, what do you mean by with the advent of? Now I have already said that the advent word which we have not highlighted, I underlined it. The meaning is actually the beginning or the starting point. So advent means at the end? No, because here we have to relate. Now see, one more thing I just want to add again. So I am adding points after points. So you have to remember, whenever you are thorough with the session, you get to know more things. Apart from the passage or apart from the actual content, you get some kind of extra advices or counseling. So you should go through these sessions. Actually, I am insisting that you should go through the session in a regular or in a continuous way. So because if a break in between the session will divert you from going through the session in a continuous way. So with the advent, what it is trying to tell, that it is the beginning. So even if it is the beginning is the right answer, we will go through the other options at the end, at the middle, none of these. So the other options defy the meaning of advent, and so we will go with the fourth option. So with this, we come to the end of today's session, and we come to the end of the comprehension thing, the first comprehension that we have tried here. So thank you for being with us throughout the session, and hope you will join me, you will join BPS, where we will provide this kind of comprehensions and we will practice a lot before the exam. Thank you for being with me.